We are on some very sacred ground here. This is a painting of my dog Truman. I got Truman a year after I moved to Our Lady of Guadalupe in St. Joseph back in 1998. And Truman was with me for a long time until a few years after I moved to Smithville. Truman was a dachshund, much like Remy, but in some ways the total opposite. Truman was happy and friendly and loved everybody and always had a friendly wag of his tail for anybody who would come by. And Truman was a huge outdoor dog. He loved being outside. Uh, we walked a lot, and he was a hunter. And we figured out, as I told you recently in a Sunday homily, he also loved to fish. My mom and dad lived on an acreage down by Windsor, Missouri. And when we would go down there, there were lots of places my dad could fish. And quickly we figured out that Truman loved getting in the boat, and he loved being at my dad's side. And when my dad caught a fish, Truman would just go crazy, barking and wagging his tail and jumping up and down. He fell out of the boat several times. He was so excited. Truman loved fish. And when my dad would catch one and pull it up to the boat, Truman would often try to bite it. He would often try to take it off the hook for my dad so that he could have it. This picture was painted by my younger brother, Steve. After Truman died, he said, "Hey, send me a picture of Truman that you love, and I'll paint his image for you." Well, it was a no-brainer. I loved this photograph, and so I sent it to Steve, and fortunately he said, "It's a perfect image. It's exactly the kind of thing I love to paint." Steve is so good at capturing the character of people and animals, and especially their eyes. It's a gift he's had since he discovered art back in high school. And I can tell you, the moment I took this photograph, we were down at my mom and dad's, sitting out on the deck, and my dad had whispered to me. We had to whisper because once Truman heard the word fishing, he would go crazy. So my dad said, "I'll be ready in about 20 minutes." So I went out and sat on the deck with Truman, and after about 15 minutes, 17 minutes or so, I saw my dad coming up around the side of the house. So I said, "Truman, do you want to go fishing?" And this is what he looked at me with this wonderful look on his face. That's his eyes when he heard the words, "Do you want to go fishing?" Such expectation and excitement and glee and happiness. And my brother Steve just captured it beautifully. I cherish the photograph, and I really, really cherish this painting of that photograph, because this is exactly what Truman looked like, and when Truman was his happiest. It may sound strange, but that little urn there contains his ashes. I had him cremated after he died, and I'm honestly glad I've kept them with me. And it's great to have Truman in the house. So even though you never knew him, this little story and that wonderful painting says a lot about this special little dog.